Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Quinn Ewers to Ohio State in 2021 edition. It's been revealed that Quinn Ewers could be coming early. What have you heard about this so far, Nevada?
Well, it was interesting, Kirk, and I really got to give you credit. You had dropped back about 3 weeks ago. You had started hinting about this on BuckeyeScoop.com about a mystery quarterback that may come in, may take some starts. I think you did put it in a wild predictions thread. You said make a wild prediction. You're like, maybe some other quarterback comes in and takes a snap, and people gave you a lot of grief about that, or a lot of questions about that, and now they know what you were talking about. You obviously have the information on the Quinn Ewers potential reclassification, and first I just want to give you a lot of credit for that, because no one had this story. Nobody had the story, and you beat everybody on it, and really, really nice job. So I guess maybe I should be asking you, what do you know about this, Kirk, and how do you think this plays, and what do you think about this? What does this mean for the future, and how's NIL going to be impacting things as we're going forward?
Well, I think that it, for one, I appreciate it, the credit, because I had this thing nailed to the cross. But the biggest thing to me is this could set a whole new tone for kids that want to reclassify. Like, if you're a superstar, which Quinn Ewers is an absolute superstar, if your state doesn't pass legislation with the Texas State Athletic Association, if they don't allow for him to collect his NIL money this year, that he has contracts on the table worth close to 7 figures according to his father, and they're either gonna have to pass something, or you're gonna risk a lot of these kids graduating early. I mean, the kids can reclassify now. It's easier now with online classes for kids to project. And honestly, if you're Quinn Ewers, you got to look at it from a financial perspective, and his family is very well off. So this isn't a deal. But 90% of the kids that go play college football, they're not well off. They're actually destitute or close to poor or below the poverty line. They're not all moguls by any stretch. So if you're Quinn, or you're Trey Henderson, or you're some superstar 5-star running back, you've got deals on the table worth upwards of $1 million. You could pay your family's house off. You could pay for all their travel to come to your games. Do you try to reclassify to get to that money earlier? Because here's the risk. It's like in the NFL or in college, when you see guys that are this close to getting to the NFL, all of a sudden, guys don't run as hard their junior year because they want to save their body for the NFL. So they go in the first round or whatever, like as running backs or other positions where you see guys kind of turn it down and not play as well because they don't want to risk injury. So now if you're a high school senior and you're a superstar and you have, say, $100,000 on the table, $200,000 on the table, do you really want to go play for, Maslin Perry? Or, if you have the option to enroll early and, get a year under your belt, you're going to be getting drafted a year younger. You'll hit free agency a year younger. It makes all sense to world. I mean, if someone would offer me $100,000 to enroll early at Ohio State, I would have done it. I would have given my mom, the money. I don't think you can view it as quitting on your team, but if your family is in a dire financial situation, I mean, this is going to be a real common thing. And the other good thing about it is with Quinn potentially coming early, and it's still not finalized. I mean, he's leaning towards it, but some of this, it reeks of like political posturing to me, and that they might just be trying to force Texas's hand, like their athletic association's hand, and say, hey, look, pass this emergency legislation so Quinn can collect his money and he can still play for South Lake Carroll and be eligible. Like that them putting it out like a week before camp starting. I mean, Ohio State football starts camp on Tuesday and it's Wednesday. So, there ain't no time to waste, and they needed an emergency, basically, measure to let Quinn collect his money and play for South Lake Carroll. But it's going to be real interesting to see how this goes down, because this could dramatically alter the financial landscape of college football, of high school football. If you have superstars leaving early to go to college so they can collect their NIL money, this has far-reaching ramifications, in my opinion. But the good thing for Ohio State is if Quinn comes early, you don't have to recruit him anymore. You don't have to worry about having a bad year, Ryan Day going to the Patriots, or any other crazy thing that could happen. He's on campus. So as soon as they get on campus, that's why Urban always wanted guys to enroll in January, because back when signing day was in February, like that last month, you don't have to recruit them anymore. You can dedicate your resources to other kids that, that might be like Jaheim Singletary and some of these other guys, Turner, these kids that are looking around, but you can dedicate resources to them and take the big fish, kind of put him in the pond, and you don't have to worry about him anymore. So it's going to be a fascinating few weeks, because I think that as this will be the biggest story in sports for the next 4 or 5 days until he picks a decision what he's going to do. But we've got sources on Buckeye Scoop. I mean, people, they like to beat me to death, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why people thought I'd make something that obscure up, which, it's fine. It's whatever.
Well, the thing about this is, as you point out, this is a much broader topic than just Quinn Ewers, because, we've been saying to our members, look, NIL is going to change everything. And a lot of people are like, oh, Nevada and Kirk, you guys are just overstating it. It doesn't get much bigger than the number one player in the country, the guy with the perfect rating, is potentially contemplating skipping his senior year in high school to reclassify so he can take sponsorship money. I mean, that is a profound change, in a time when there's a lot of profound changes going on in college football right now. But this is just it's going to set up a whole set of new issues for the coaches to navigate through. And the dynamics in the locker room are going to be, radically changed by high school players coming in with, multi-million-dollar deals under their belt as they walk in the locker room. I'm looking at this with kind of rapt attention, trying to think about how the coaches are going to manage through all this. And because these locker rooms are going to look more like NFL locker rooms than they do college locker rooms in a very, very short period of time. And people are going to be making decisions based upon a lot of different factors other than the traditional ones. So, if you're interested in college football, this would be an issue that I would really focus on, because it changes everything, and the calculus changes across the board, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about it is, it's going to be real interesting to see how teams adjust. I mean, some teams are going to fall off, some teams are going to rise up, and if you're a kid and you're on the fence between two schools, and one school has a big company who's got a donor and says, "Hey, I'll pay you $100,000 to sponsor my John Deere thing," if the guy's a billionaire, or sponsor my oil derrick. I don't know. I mean, you can just kind of draw it up, but you can see how kids would suddenly be like, yeah, I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna enroll early, and I'm gonna, and like if you're Trey Henderson and Alabama wants to have tailbacks, but Florida needs a tailback, would you want to enroll early, get a chunk of money from NIL, and then be the starter when you could be a senior in high school? I mean, it's not preposterous, but the thing that's going to be fascinating is how many kids try to reclassify now to get to the money earlier, help their families out, because again, a lot of these kids are destitute. They don't have two nickels rubbed together. Their families are in poverty. They're hoping to make it 3 or 4 years to get into the NFL to make it, but now you don't have to wait anymore. Now it's just based on your high school potential, and there's going to be some kids that they're going to be busts, but they're going to make good coin just because they'll have NIL contracts coming into college. There's a lot of guys that are 4 or 5 star guys that bust out at D1 schools, but now they'll have some money when they start off. So if they don't make it to the NFL, they'll at least have some financial, some bit of finances in their pocket, as opposed to just their stipend checks. So, but yeah, but Quinn, I mean,
well, yeah, and again, I always say, will getting more money make you better, or will it make you worse? And in some cases, it's going to make the players better. In some cases, it's going to be a bad thing, but it's going to have an impact for sure. There's no way that things are going to be the same as we've seen them in the past. It's going to be profoundly different. And, the decisions are going to be being made on factors that we hadn't even contemplated before. And this, like I said, this was such a big story, and it was fun to have you had given us a front row seat to this, because I never dreamed we'd be talking about something like this. When you first mentioned it to me, I was like, what are you talking about? And now it's a huge national story, and I think it's the first of many times we're going to be hearing this story.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to see if he actually does come to Ohio State, because it's not in cement yet. But I just feel like with the timing of this article and the national presence of Pete Thamel, it's a way to kind of shake the consciousness of the Texas State Athletic Association. Say, hey guys, like, you're going to lose your number one player in the country, and this could start a kind of a waterfall of kids that start doing this if you don't pass a measure that lets them collect their entitlement. Like, do you want the state of Texas and some of these others? Because the problem is like there's going to be a state that's going to say, okay, you're allowed to make money. Like kids are allowed to play video games and make money on Twitch as a 16-year-old if you're good enough. So why can't you have a car sponsorship or a drink sponsor, an energy drink sponsorship, whatever. And for me, it's going to be really interesting to see if they bend and they pass something that lets Quinn stay in high school and collect his money, or if they're not. And then Quinn, enrolls at Ohio State. I mean, and again, like the versatility of online classes has made this much more of an easy transition, because when I was coming out in 03, which is, 1,000 years ago, I couldn't graduate early because I couldn't double up in English credit. But now a kid like Quinn can, take an English credit online, allegedly while he's at Ohio State, and be enrolled in classes at Ohio State. And, that enables him to graduate kind of on, you can turn on a dime and say, hey, I want to graduate today and go to camp, today. And that's something that didn't exist before online classes. So it's going to be fascinating. Nevada, what are your thoughts on the quarterback competition if Quinn Ewers jumps into the fray with CJ Stroud and with Miller and with McCord? I mean, this is going to be insane.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I may be in the minority view, but I don't think it changes much about the quarterback competition this year. I think Quinn would be coming to get his check from whoever the sponsors are, Wranglers, energy drink, Coke, whomever it is. I think he'd be coming there to hold the clipboard and cash the check. But in the future for next year, he's not going to want to sit. He's going to want to play, and it definitely, maybe it changes who Ohio State takes in 2023, or maybe it changes if they go after another quarterback in 2022. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's definitely going to have an impact. And, I'm just thinking this whole thing through about what you're talking about, these high school associations potentially approving this. I mean, if they don't do it, and like you said, do kids go to other states and play?
Absolutely.
When I was growing up, the big thing was, having the parochial schools and having them not recruit. Well, if you allow it, then can rich guys from parochial schools just openly offer money to kids to come there? And how does that work? I mean, I just see just a cavalcade of issues that are coming down on this, and it's a big story, and it's been fun to have a front seat.
Absolutely. Well, for the absolute latest, join BuckeyeScoop.com. Guys, subscribe to our YouTube page. Training camp starting up. We're going to have the best training camp coverage maybe in the history of the industry. We're really excited about some of the things we're going to do for training camp. So subscribe to our YouTube page, click like, leave a comment. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming on BuckeyeScoop.com. So if you haven't joined, if you guys want to really know what's going on inside Ohio State football, we're the spot to go to. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you, Scoop family. And we, Nevada Buckeye, will see you on the boards.